from my old bedroom.
Everybody, thanks for joining the Cheerful Ghost Roundtable. My name is Jay Dotson. I am the proprietor and creator of CheerfulGhost.com. And CheerfulGhost.com decided to do a roundtable. And this is the roundtable. The Cheerful Ghost Roundtable is an open discussion with people from the Cheerful Ghost community about awesome stuff in video games, brought to you by CheerfulGhost.com, the greatest website on the internet. And as we start every show, we talk a little bit about what games we've been playing, what games we've been drinking. Script laughs at me, which is okay. Which is okay. And we're going to start with the Hector himself. Script, what you been playing, what you drinking?
I have been playing a lot of small games. One in particular that I played today off of a recommendation from a random internet comment forum comment was a game from the Space Cowboy Game Jam, and it's called Distance. And it's not so much a game as it is it's kind of like a visual storybook, kind of a very small visual storybook with some minor choices that may or may not have anything to do with how the game develops. But it's beautiful, and it sounded really pretty. It was I'd link it if I knew how to link anything in this program, but it's cool. If you search Space Cowboy Game Jam Distance, you should find it. It's free. It's
hit me up with the URL, and I'll put it in the show notes.
I don't have it. I'll find it. And I'll post it.
That's cool.
As far as what I'm drinking, nothing. I'm going dry this episode because of what happened last episode. I almost killed myself, choking on my own water. So I am abstaining. I'm drinking in the life force of my co-panelists here. So.
Oh man, you're screwed.
Basking in our glow.
Oh, I definitely was wondering why I was feeling terrible. It's because you're a Dementor, and
I am.
And I forgot my Patronus charm. Damn it!
Well, that's what you get for not being prepared.
I know. White Boy Slim, drink and playing. What you got?
So, drinking, I think I've actually had this on the show before, but seeing as how I'm currently up in Oregon, I got a local beer from Deschutes Brewery, Blackview Porter. It is awesome. It is like one of the best porters out there, if you ask me. And you did, so, you know.
Oh, hey, before we get into what you've been playing and drinking, I've got a question. So we were talking yesterday, because we often do that, because we hate each other. And you mentioned that you were going to be slumming it at a different podcast. I'm curious how that went. And you were going to be recording it last night.
Oh, yeah, it went well. I was the first guest on the Indie Brothers podcast. I'll post something on Twitter and Facebook later about it. But it was good. Yeah, the podcast it's a lot more just kind of conversational and casual than what we usually do here, you know. So try not to hold that against them, the noobs. No, but it was fun. We talked games. We talked Arrow. We talked about a lot of board games, which what I've been playing actually is a lot of board games. One of my old buddies, the guy that I actually did the podcast with, he lives very close to where I'm staying right now. I'm currently on vacation up in Oregon, and so, you know, since my parents are here when my kids go to bed, they stay here with the kids. Me and the wife, we take off over to his house, and then we hang out. We've been playing a lot of games. So we've tried a couple different variations of Settlers of Catan. We tried, this was my first time playing Ticket to Ride. I've heard really good things about it before, but
Ticket to Ride is fantastic.
Yeah, that was really fun.
I love playing that game, and she's got it on the iPhone, iPad, and we link up the phones for that. It's great. Yeah.
Yeah, we tried like this Harry Potter Hogwarts House Cup game that was actually not that great. I was a little disappointed in that one. And then also we played a game that I'll probably make a post on Cheerful Ghost about later, called Mice and Mystics. It's kind of like a co-op dungeon crawling, like It's not quite a pen and paper RPG, but it's very similar to one, and it was a lot of fun. We played that 2 nights now, and it's really cool. So I'll probably post about that on the site. Otherwise, since I am not near like my usual gaming rigs, I've busted out the demo for Bravely Default on my Game Boy here and been giving that a shot, and it's really cool. I think I'm actually gonna go pick it up. It's funny because when we did our New Year's episode, I asked for a Final Fantasy that doesn't suck, and that's basically what Bravely Default is it's kind of like an old school Final Fantasy that doesn't suck. So, yeah, check it out. It's free demo on the eShop there. All right, who's next? Travis?
Yes, that's me. I'm drinking I don't remember what it's called, Blue Moon Farmhouse Red. It's pretty good stuff.
I've had that before. It is very good.
Yeah, it is. It's a good one.
Got this big sampler box of Blue Moon with like 3 of a lot of their stuff, and it's pretty good stuff. They have one that tastes like it's got white pepper in it, and it's just a little bizarre, but okay. As for what I've been playing, Shovel Knight was fantastic. I've played through that probably almost through the New Game Plus. And if you like old school Capcom games, you've got to play this. It's like if they took DuckTales, Mega Man, and a little bit of Zelda 2 and mixed it all together. You have Shovel Knight with possibly better mechanics than those games. It's really solid all the way through. And since I finished that up, I've picked up Batman. Which one is it? Arkham City, the second one in the series. I loved Arkham Asylum, and I started Arkham City like a year and a half ago and didn't keep it up for some reason. I think I was having computer problems, but very good game. John?
Yeah, so what I'm drinking tonight is a Leanin' something summer shandy. Anyways, it's pretty good. I like getting these beer box samplers of a bunch of different kinds of a particular, sort of like brew house's beers. And this one's actually pretty good. It's not too expensive. I mean, it's nothing like it's good beer, but it's not like an amazing craft beer or whatnot. But it's good. It's good.
Now, I got a question for you on that beer there, because it looks like the top had not been removed. You removed it now.
So I wanted to take a hit of it when I was talking. So.
Okay.
First one, exactly. Yeah, I'm safe. Yeah, exactly. I'm not actually drinking this beer tonight. I'm just showing it off because I am weird. Well, yeah. So what I've been playing is not a lot of games, actually. After the Steam sale, I have just gotten so busy with stuff. So, but there is one game that I and my wife have been playing a lot of, and which is Monsters Ate My Birthday Cake. And I've been playing it on the PC or my Mac laptop, occasionally hooking up to the TV and playing with the Xbox 360 controller, and she's been playing it on the iPad. Well, she beat me in beating the game. Actually, she beat it before I did, which is really cool and totally unlike anything that's happened before. She's really been nerding out hard on the game, and I like it a lot. I think it's a great game. I've just been a lot busier than her, but the game has really different controls on the iPhone and iPad versus the PC. My wife really likes the iPad controls because basically you control the different monsters, and they do, to achieve the puzzle and, make it to the next level and then make it to the end finally. But you tap one of the little guys, and you can draw on the screen to move it around. And she really likes that mechanic a lot. I think it's a better mechanic than the virtual thumbstick mechanic, and I think if you look at the iTunes reviews for the game, a lot of people, not a lot, some people, a few, not a ton, want the old sort of like virtual thumbstick, on it. But I don't think that's actually a great mechanic. And Apple seems to prefer when you sort of make a natural control as opposed to sort of like a virtual thumbstick. Anyways, and I think that's really great, and she quite enjoys playing it that way. and I think I'm going to beat it soon. And it's a really fun game, and I like it quite a bit. I've gotten a few other press copies of games like Travis. I got Shovel Knight, and that was really great, but I wanted to beat Monsters first, and then I got a few other new ones that I need to check out as well. So lots of games. I'm going to have more time to do that, to play those in the next few weeks, so that'll be really, really great. Awesome. So this episode is going to be a little bit different. It might actually be a short one, but we recently in the United States we had the 4th of July, and if you're not from the United States or you are and just forgot, the 4th of July is a holiday that we celebrate for our Independence Day, and basically it's our celebration of routing the British out of our area and then getting taxed and having our control over it. And anyways, it's a Wikipedia thing. I'm not best to describe it. And we celebrate it by blowing things up with various rocketry and gunpowder and beer and hot dogs aplenty on that day. And to celebrate that, because we're all big fans of freedom, hot dogs, explosions, guns, America flags, bald eagles, Stephen Colbert, anything right-wing, monster trucks, Hummer, H3, and Monster energy drinks, caffeine pills,
Can there be a
plastic
disclaimer?
surgery, Botox,
The views of John Dotson do not.
triple
necessarily reflect the views
decker
of the
hamburgers.
Ghost community as a whole.
We decided to sort of talk about those and sort of our best video game experiences we've had. So the first topic on the list is our most American freedom-loving games of all time. It's quite an amazing topic. We'll kick it off with Travis. Travis, what are some of your most favorite America freedom-loving games of all time that just need to shoot off guns and eat hot dogs?
We've got to give credit to Bad Dudes, because at the end of that game, President Reagan asked them to go out for a burger. I mean, what's more American than that?
That's
But
incredible.
really, I think the
Excellent choice.
the one that stands out for me is in Fallout 3, there's a giant freaking robot whose entire purpose is to stamp out communism.
Yes.
Liberty Prime is probably one of my favorite parts of that game, honestly. It's just so absurd and hilarious. But, you know, they've reprogrammed it to use for other purposes, getting rid of the bad, evil enclave. But yeah, you gotta love Liberty Prime.
Liberty Prime is great. Can we do a spoiler alert about Fallout 3? Has everyone here played Fallout 3?
I have, but I haven't beat it. But I think I'm close.
Did you? So
And I remember coming across Freedom Prime at one point. So
did you get to the end of the Freedom Prime part? Did you?
I don't think so. But if you like, I can take my earphones out for a second.
No,
You can just
it's
wave
okay.
me in when I'm good.
You can do it. I mean, whatever. I haven't beat it either. I played it, but I haven't beat it.
Okay, then forget it. Let's not. I don't want to spoil it for you guys. It's great. Yeah, that's awesome, Travis. That's awesome. Wait, boy, Slim, what do you got? Freedom, America, guns, hot dogs, beer.
Okay, so I got a couple here. So, you know, when I think of American games, naturally I think about games made in Japan. So, you know, Earthbound is definitely up there because even though it was made in Japan, it's like based on like what the Japanese consider like the idyllic America to be, you know? So it's very
punks.
Yeah, skateboarding punks are your enemies, and you got new age hippies running around, and dogs and apple pie, and you know all that kind of thing. So it's it's a very American game, even though it was made in Japan.
So there was a
And then,
band
of course,
in
go ahead.
Earthbound, right? What was the name of the band that was in
It was the
Earthbound?
Runaway Five, and they were basically a parody of the Blues Brothers. So.
Right. They had a freedom song on that too, or something. It was funny. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see here. Then, of course, you know, if we're talking about freedom-loving games, then what better game than one where you are literally fighting for your freedom? So I'm gonna give a shout out to the NES classic POW, Prisoner of War.
Yeah.
The whole point of that game was to escape from some like vaguely Vietnam-ish prison. It's pretty darn America. And of
Vaguely
course,
Vietnamish.
yeah,
That's the box quote for that game.
pretty much. I don't know if it was supposed to be like in Vietnam, but everything looked like it was supposed to be in Vietnam, so it's probably where it is. And then, of course, when you're talking about your ideal American, who better than Duke Nukem? So, I mean, he's basically every American 80s action movie stereotype rolled into one character. So he's about as American as you can get.
He's as American as you can get. But in the last game, I swear I saw videos of him just grabbing poop and putting it on the ground or something. I don't understand like what that was about, but apparently that was the thing that they needed to bring. That was why that game took so long to ship too, I bet. I don't know. The mechanics for that.
Now I'm choking up my drink here. Script, save me from my...
Now I'm going to enjoy this. My favorite. I revolving around freedom, and I wasn't gonna go so comedic with it. I was actually thinking like, oh, deep, like freedom influences or games that have influenced my perspective on freedom. But a few that I liked were Bionic Commando was one of my all-time favorites, and since we're talking about 4th of July and food and hot dogs and stuff, I'm actually going to go with Burger Time because that's it's a freaking awesome game.
That game is incredible.
Awesome.
The entire game, you just build burgers.
Yeah, it is. It is. Great.
And I'm in Texas right now, and they have really, really good burgers down here. So I have to shout out to Burger Time. And that's about it, really. There's a couple other games, like Freedom Fighters. I love games that alter your perspective of things and the whole alternate history with like games like that, or Homefront. Even though Homefront was a suck game, just the idea of America being shaken at its core and fighting to take it back. Those are cool games.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I'm thinking about like American freedom-loving games, seriously and not seriously, the first one, like, and it's just like a game that, I mean, we did an interview with the guys that made it on the site. It's really fun. Check out the demo on their main page if you haven't. It's really great. But Broforce, I mean, basically the game, you take every 80s, 90s, or amazing action hero, you put him into a game, you kill the devil at the end of each level, you just blow things up, like, you can get into mechs and stuff. It's incredible. It's like a wish fulfillment for little John Dotson watching Commando or Predator or whatever, Die Hard. So it's a great game in that way. But I have to hat tip to Freedom Force because it's actually it's an Irrational game. Before they started, I think this is before they did BioShock. Before they started doing that, and it's like a tactical turn-based. It's a tactical game where you can pause it and have your heroes go a different direction, but it's basically like a comic book superhero with the freedom humor element. And this is like long before it became like really culturally like awesome to like the whole America freedom memes or whatnot. Irrational had that game, and then they did Freedom Force versus the Third Reich, which was them versus like a reborn Nazi party or whatever, which is amazing. Freedom versus Nazis as always, which is always fun for games. And it's sort of another game that I've actually really enjoyed. Travis and I both Wolfenstein New Order. That game I would say is pretty great because B.J. Blazkowicz, an Americanized Jew, an American Jew who's like fighting Nazis, and then gets knocked out and wakes up in the 60s to Nazis running the world. It's not a campy America, freedom, flag-waving game, and he doesn't even say much about like America and freedom loving and all this. It's more just like, this sucks being under this dystopian Nazi control and we need to break it, to get life back or whatever. So there's no pandering that happens in the game. They're just fighting for their freedom in that game, which I think is really, really great about the game, that it's not like, it's not just like some chintzy pandering. It's actually just like real people just trying to get their lives back, which I think is really, really great. And then sort of have to give it nod to the old Super Nintendo Blizzard game, Rock and Roll Racing. What's more America freedom loving than monster trucks and rock and roll racing? And when you were talking about Freedom Fighters script, I was thinking about Red Faction Guerrilla. The entire Red Faction series is about freedom, and Red Faction Guerrilla is great because it's kind of like an open-ish world destruction game. It's too bad that it didn't have a PC port. Did Red Faction Guerrilla have a PC port? Maybe it did. Anyways, but it's a really cool game where you just blow crap up, and it's incredible. So the next one, sort of on the flag-waving topic, is our most favorite video game explosions, because on the 4th of July we need to blow things up, and video games, apparently, I've heard video games have some explosions in them, maybe. Anyways, Script, what do you think? Some of your more memorable video game explosions?
I think some of my favorite in more recent years was the explosions that take place in Just Cause 2. You actually can chain multipliers by going in and exploding as much as you can, destroying as much equipment and vehicles and whatever that you can in the environments as you're taking over outposts that are run by these guerrilla terrorists. And they're fun because the screen shakes and there's lots of noise and your multiplier goes up, your chaos meter or whatever, and it's very, even though that is not specifically an American game or themed American, but the explosions they're nice. They're good explosions. I don't know. Any game with a red barrel in it, that's just a classic a good explosion. Just anything. The little explosions are my favorites. Yeah, I didn't really have anything big. There was one big, but I'll let you have it.
White Boy Slim?
Okay, so there's a lot of explosions that take place in a lot of different video games. One of the most satisfying, though, at least for me, is in StarCraft when you successfully got a nuke to hit. Oh, that is so satisfying. Because, first you've got to develop the technology.
Absolutely.
Sneak one of your ghosts over there, stealth them. Then, the enemy gets a big warning of, that the nuke's coming. They
Nuclear
can see
launch detected is like the place where you shit your pants if
and so,
Berg or Protoss or whatever,
Yeah, so, but when you were successful and you got to drop a nuke right in the enemy base and wipe out a bunch of buildings and units, it is so satisfying. So, yeah, big thumbs up to StarCraft nukes. Also, in GoldenEye and later in Perfect Dark, which was kind of its spiritual successor, the proximity mines were so much fun. When you could plant one strategically and you see your opponent come around the corner and just boom, extra points for you. So satisfying. Another satisfying one that in multiplayer was in the Halo series, the blue sticky grenades, the plasma grenades. Those are fun to just stick to other people, especially because there's always that couple seconds right before it explodes, and the other person knows they got hit. There's nothing they can do about it. So there's just that like second that they get to panic before the actual explosion. That really makes it, Yeah. Travis, what have you got for explosions?
Well, the Saints Row games aren't exactly known for being subtle. The Saints Row 3 kind of starts off with the whole building that you're in exploding, and you're like fighting your way out on moving rubble and stuff like that. But there's also a cheat code that you can use to make everything explode, like any kind of ammo that you're using will explode, which is pretty awesome. But in a more subtle way, Quake 2. It's kind of meager graphically and environmentally by today's standards, but as you're going through the early levels, first playing this game when it came out, you're going through all these levels, stuff's exploding around you. Not huge explosions, but you can hear the battle going on around. I thought that was used very well. And John, I think you were going to mention this one, so I'll segue you into it. The explosion of Megaton in Fallout 3. Early on, you could choose whether you wanted to blow up Megaton and get a house at Tenpenny Tower, or turn in the guy who wanted you to blow it up to begin with. It's kind of like the first big major choice, and if you do choose to do it, you kind of feel like an asshole, but it looks really cool.
Yeah, so about that one, and Script, if you've done this one or not, you should talk about it too, but or Tim, either, but and the choices that we made there, because I think we've all played Fallout 3, but I never chose to blow up Megaton, and I always chose to turn in that guy, because when I was in Fallout 3, the guy was like, hey, you want to, blah, 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 and they're like, I want you to blow up this town. I'm like, what the are you talking about, blow up a town in an RPG? You were insane. I wonder how many quests you shut down by doing that. I mean, I'm sure it's some, but so I watched a video, because I knew that I put it on my list, and I was like, that of something that happens in a game that I knew was epic, but I never did it, and so I watched a video before on it, and it looks great. What I didn't know was that one person that gives you all those quests from Megaton, I forget his name, her name, Moria or something?
Moira. Yeah.
Moira, yeah. She turns into a ghoul, actually, if you blow up that town. Does she go to a new town then?
She walks to Rivet City. You have to be sure to basically leave her alone for a few in-game days so that she can get there, because she gets killed by random wildlife pretty easily.
So she's got to make it back into the town, and you have to basically leave her alone, or she'll... She stays in the town, or she goes somewhere else?
No, she goes down to the Rivet City, the city that's built into the ship down on the coast.
Oh, okay, interesting. So, but if you don't leave her alone, she'll die then, basically, huh?
Yeah, if you keep following the quest line and going where she is, there's almost always something there waiting to kill her that you have to fight off, or she dies. It's kind of dangerous.
So just don't go with her. Okay, crazy. Yeah, interesting. So I never did that, but it looked totally badass from that video. Travis, did you play Evil and do that, or?
I played one Evil game. I always do one Evil game in any of those kind of RPGs, and I always feel like such a bastard when I do. But yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine. You blow people up, you let kids die, you do the wrong thing. I want to play Fallout 3 again, and I want to play it as Evil, but Megaton's a cool town. I don't want to blow it up. Anyways, what do you guys think? Script, Tim, I mean, what did you guys make that choice in Fallout?
I saved Megaton. Sorry I think I just cut you off, Script. Sorry. I saved Megaton. Kind of like you guys. I very seldom play evil characters my first time through. And even then, I'll usually only do an evil playthrough maybe once, unless it turns out that there's some really good rewards or something, to make me offset the fact that I feel like a jerk doing all the evil or dark side quest lines, Typically, I like to think I'm a good person for the most part, so I usually play my games as such.
I'm a fence walker when it comes to those types of games. I save a lot. I create a lot of game saves so that if I do tiptoe onto something evil, I'll revert to an older game save almost immediately. I'm pretty sure that I blew up Megaton and then came back to an earlier game save and just saved them. But I'll do that with, like, I did it with Skyrim and with well, any game that offers save on the spot, I do that. So I don't know. I gotta get both worlds right away.
Yeah, no, I mean, I did that in Fallout 3 too, which was super fun. I was playing it, my wife was watching me play it, to, like, save my game, and then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna kill everyone in Megaton now for fun.
Right.
She's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm just wiping them out. She's like, well, you better save your game. I'm like, well, I don't want to lose. I don't want to have them all die. She's like, oh, you just like killing then, huh? And I'm like, yes. Yes, I do.
I feel like a bastard for not living with my consequences, but I don't have time to play that game twice. It's like, give me a break.
Yeah, I think I might play it again sometime, in the future. But yeah, definitely
Maybe.
not
Like
at the
2
time.
years from now.
Yeah, that's kind of what I mean, or whatever. All right, awesome. So my favorite video game explosion. So Travis brought up the Fallout 3 one. So this isn't really an explosion, but it generates a lot of explosions, which in the game Final Fantasy VI or 3, depending on which one you played, I know it more as Final Fantasy 3 because that's the one I played in high school, but Kefka shifts around some statues to make the world of balance turn into the world of ruin. It's not technically an explosion, but like there were tons of explosions that happened as part of it when the world broke. It basically marks sort of like a transition in the game where it gets a lot darker, and the game, I mean, it's got happy moments after it, but the game gets a lot darker, and then the stakes get raised, and everything you'd built up and the resistance gets fractured and stuff like that. And so that had a pretty big explosion. And I remember the first time I played it, and the world broke, and I was seeing, and I remember this, sort of vividly, but I remember people falling into like the world was splitting and people were falling into the cracks and dying, and I was blown away. I had never seen a story-based game, where characters were dying in front of my face as fast as that game showed me death. Like, I mean, I'd played Doom and I'd shot demons, but that game has no story to it. It's just like, get to the end, shooting stuff. Hopefully that's reason enough to make it to the end. And at the time of Doom, it very much so was. But when I played Final Fantasy VI /3, when all those people were dying, it was shocking to me to see that kind of death and all the explosions and stuff like that, because I hadn't experienced that in a game story up to that point yet. So it was really cool.
What game are you talking about? Say the name again.
Final Fantasy VI.
Oh, is that what you were just talking about? Final Fantasy VI?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I missed that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That game is pretty crazy because there's not too many games where, like, basically the heroes lose, and so right when you think you're getting, it's quite a ways into the game when that happens. So you think you're coming up to the end of the game, and then the bad guy wins. And all the good guys get scattered. Your entire team is gone. From that point on, you pick up playing not, as Cells, who was, she's a main character, but I wouldn't call her the main character.
She was probably one of the worst characters in the game up to that point, I would say. I mean, like, she wasn't Locke or Sabin or Cyan or anything. Like, she wasn't one of the good characters, I would say.
I'd argue that I actually really like Cells. She's usually a staple in my team, but even storyline-wise, I kind of like the whole she started as a general.
Yeah.
Now, she's turning to the rebellion kind of thing. I thought that was cool, but
you're right about it was everything changing because the Empire wins at that point right there. So.
Yeah, and it's crazy. Not too many games let the bad guy just straight out win, and then you have to bring the good guys back together to try again, kind of thing,
Yeah. Right. That's a cool game.
Yeah.
So, all right, everyone.
When you guys mentioned Fallout, it actually reminded me of another good explosion. It's less of a bigger explosion, and more of lots of little ones kind of thing. But there's one achievement that you can, or like, character perk that you can get that basically makes every enemy you kill explode.
The bloody mess
And
perk. Yes.
yes, that's the one. So every time you successfully kill, basically the enemy then explodes into a bloody mist of carnage, and it can actually cause damage to surrounding enemies from all the like debris that explodes off of the people, and that is a very fun perk.
That game has some really disturbing perks in it. I really hope they're going to make a new one. So.
Here's hoping.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Fallout 4,
Yeah,
right after Half-Life 3, right?
Yeah, I bet we're going to have Fallout 4 before Half-Life 3. That's just a guess.
Probably.
Yeah,
I
think we will.
I texted Travis just 3, and I just texted it to him like the other day. And he's like, he texts me back and he's like, what are you talking about? What? 3? And I said, confirmed. And I just sent it to him.
I responded back, stop playing with my emotions, John, or something like that.
I just like messing with people. I thought it was funny. Oh, man. Do you guys think... Okay, totally impromptu discussion. Are we going to get Fallout... Are we going to get Half-Life 3 in 2014 or 2015? Like, how likely do you think we're going to get it like this or next year? What do you think, Travis?
There are a lot of people who claim to have some inside knowledge saying they're working on it, but I think people have been saying that for a couple of years now. They're really good at keeping secrets. So, I mean, until they start like having to do distribution deals for the console versions, they could be working on it in secret. It's possible, but how many years has it been now? 7, 8 years since Half-Life 2, Episode 2, and I'm just afraid that it's going to be a downer once we finally get it. I hope that they. Yeah. I mean, it's Valve, and I don't think they've ever done anything that I would call bad, but I don't know if it can live up to the hype.
Well, if they call it Half-Life Forever, then we know then it'll be bad. I think that they're going to come out.
It's been 9 years since Episode 2, because Episode 2 was released in 2007. So.
Right. I think that they're going to come out with a completely different IP that'll tie Half-Life and Portal together. I think that would be a pretty cool thing if they did that. Not necessarily call it Half-Life 3, but some merger of the two. That'd be
like
cool.
A Half-Life 3 spiritual successor or whatever.
Well, just something that ties the two. I mean, the two worlds are tied together, but that's more of a separate thing that is both at the same time. And as to whether or not it's going to come out this year or next year, if it comes out at all in the near future, it would probably be late 2015. Maybe 2016. I mean, it would be cool if they released it with the Steam box, which could be a really good plan, but I don't know. I think they've got so much other stuff going on with trying to invade the living room that they're probably not pulling any resources off that to allocate towards games. I don't know.
Maybe true, but 3D artists probably wouldn't help people with like a Steam box. But I think that at least not a ton of them.
True.
What do you think, Tim? Do you have an opinion on this one?
There's been so many rumors about it, and there's really been very little to show for any of those. I'm going to say probably not anytime soon. Not this year, maybe next year, but I wouldn't be holding my breath for it.
So the last really great Valve game that I enjoyed, well, the last Valve game that was released that I enjoyed the hell out of was Portal 2. So I think that if Valve was going, and that game was incredible, like it was better than the first one. I thought, I don't like comparing them, but I Portal 2 was just butter. Like it was an incredible experience. So if Valve is going to do a Half-Life 3 at all, And maybe one of the reasons if they're working on it, why it's taken so long, is because they want it to be great. But if they were going to do it, I believe that they're going to get the quality right. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Although you're right, you guys are right though that they've got a lot of resources in a lot of things right now. You know, I don't typically count this because it's not a game I play a ton, but Dota 2 came out last year. You know what I mean? So like, or you know what I mean? So it's like, and that's a huge game. It's huge, you know. But I don't. But it's funny because people don't count it as a Valve game or. Well, I mean, maybe some. I mean, I don't because it's not a game I play. You know what I mean? I sort of counted Portal 2. You know, but that game's big, and they keep, you know, releasing updates. Team Fortress 2. You know what I mean? Left 4 Dead 2 probably is the only game that hasn't. I think it's entirely likely we'll get Left 4 Dead 3 before Half-Life 3. But yeah, I
But
think
Dota's been out for Dota 2's been out for years. I mean, it's just
but
it was its
official
final release was which was really just a 0.1 or whatever the difference was. Because I mean,
1.0, yeah. Well, now it's out of beta or whatever, so you didn't have to buy it or whatnot. It was free, but yeah, it's kind of like what Blizzard's doing now too. You know, I mean, they're releasing sort of a lot of free-to-play games and not, yeah, they've been releasing a lot of free-to-play games actually recently. So, but yeah, no, I mean, I think that if Half-Life 3 is going to come out in this year or next year, probably seem likely, but it's so hard to tell. I just want them to finish the story that they started in Half-Life 2 and episodes 1 and 2, because the way that they ended episode 2 was great, and it was a great cliffhanger of an ending. I just think that they owe it to the fans to end that narrative, you know what I mean? Because it would be like ending The Empire Strikes Back and then just not following it up with Return of the Jedi. It's like, oh, thanks. You know, I know you're busy, but maybe you could release a comic book that ends it. You know what I mean? That ends the story at least, you know, because that's a really, really cliffhanger ending. I mean, I don't know what you could have that's, you know, I mean, that's just like, yeah. So, you know, they could even release Half-Life 2 Episode 3 with this Half-Life 2 engine. You know what I mean? And I'd be okay with that. I would be okay with a Half-Life. Yeah, that would be fine with me. That would not be a problem. So, yeah.
they'll do it.
Yeah,
It'll happen.
I don't remember it very well, but didn't episode 2 end with them like going to an Aperture Science blimp?
No.
Or using an Aperture Science blimp in some way?
No. So what happened at the end of Half-Life 2 Episode 2, Tim, so spoiler alert, everyone, you're going to want to not hear this, but so Tim, is that all right if I spoil it for you?
Spoiler for a 10-year-old game here. Yeah.
Exactly, okay. So basically at the end of Half-Life 2 Episode 2, they basically find out that there's an Aperture Science vessel called the Aurora, or something. I think it's called the Aurora, anyways, or the Borealis.
I think it's the Borealis, because we find the Borealis in
Portal 2, right?
In Portal 2, yeah.
So it's the Borealis, and they basically say that they need to find this Borealis ship for blah 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 sci-fi reason. I don't actually remember what it is. But they need to find it for story or whatever. I can't remember what it is. And I'm like, Aperture Science, badass! Like, this is so cool. Like that's the next thing they need to do. And as that happens, and you move forward, basically, you get overrun by the bad guys, and I forget, but it seems like Alex Vance's dad, Eli, dies or gets seriously messed up.
I remember that.
And, like, S hits the F, you think he's dead or something, Alex gets taken, I can't remember what happens exactly, it's something like that, and then basically it's like, bam, over. And you're like, what the fuck? And I'm just like, damn. So I was expecting that they would have, you know...
thrown us some sort of a bone over the years.
Something, yeah, something. So maybe they were like, this is where we need to end it. We need to end it here, you know, because we need to give them something, like... And they ended it at the perfect spot, I guess, for that, because people are wanting more, and they've always wanted Half-Life 3. And yeah, so I want to play the games now again, just because they're so great, and that was a really great ending too. You know, it's like a sci-fi game, so Eli might not be dead. You know, he's been since the original Half-Life game. I hope they didn't, but you never know.
Yeah, I need to play those again too. I'm fuzzy about a lot of the details.
Yeah,
I remember loving them completely.
absolutely. And I remember finding the Borealis and getting the achievement in Portal 2 because you find where the Borealis launched from, and I'm like, those fuckers, like either they're totally messing with us or this is all going towards Half-Life 3, which it's either like a big tease or it actually is going towards Half-Life 3. I think it is, actually. I think that's what they're doing. So I think that was intentional. I think that Portal 2 was a nod for the Half-Life 3 game and where it's going. So
It'd be cool.
would be. It would be. All right, everybody. I think we're going to wrap things up. So Cheerful Ghost is a website for people that love video games. So if you want to go there, you should go there and love the video games with us. All right, everyone. Where can people... We talk a little bit about where we can find us online. Script, where can people find you online?
www.cheerfulghost.com/script or on Twitter at Subverity, SUBVERITY.
White Boy Slim, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me at cheerfulghost.com/whiteboyslim or on Twitter at whiteboyslim.
Travis. Goodbye, Travis. You can find Travis on Cheerful Ghost at cheerfulghost.com/Travis or at Twitter at Panicked Thumb. And you can find me at cheerfulghost.com/JDotson or at JDotson. Travis, I told people where they can find you, but why don't you say it again just so you can get double hits?
Okay, yeah, I'm at cheerfulghost.com/Travis. All my info's there, so you can find it there. But John's already told you, so I don't need to tell you again. And my internet sucks tonight, apparently.
Yes, it does. All right, everyone. I'll see you next time in Cheerful Ghostland. And remember, cheerfulghost.com, the greatest website on the internet. And if there's any news about Half-Life 3 ever coming out, I guarantee you, every one of the people in this roundtable will be fighting each other to post that article on the site first. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. Because once Half-Life 3 is confirmed, I fucking guarantee you, the internet will explode.
Yeah, it will. It will be big news.
Do you think people will have like a celebration? I'll definitely probably drink one for that news.
It'll be our new favorite explosion.
It'll be like Nerd Christmas.
I think the economy will shut down for a little while from everybody calling in sick or taking vacations for that release. I know I will.
So I will definitely be taking that day off work to play that game when it comes out. And it's, but one of the things I noted, like, I guess we'll just continue on Cheerful Ghost after this. We're going to Cheerful Ghost late night right now. But like, if Half-Life 3 was launched, you know how like during a Steam sale the site, like, Steam gets a little slow sometimes and goes down or whatnot? Do you think like Half-Life 3 would crash Steam, like, and you couldn't play it? Like, or do you
that's the thing.
12 more servers or something.
Yeah, they're actually going to, coinciding with Half-Life 3, they're actually going to announce Steam 2, and it'll be just for Half-Life 3.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's a totally new service. Oh, that would suck. That would be terrible. Hey, everyone, you got to use Steam 2, and by the way, there's only one game on it so far. It's Half-Life 3.
And none of your Steam games transfer over.
Oh my god! They're like, we know you guys love that shit with consoles, so Steam 2, nothing works. Oh man!
And by the way, the original Steam service will be shutting down in 2 years.
Oh my god!
There would be riots. That would be horrible.
I believe if Steam goes away, I I believe if Steam goes away, it's going to mean piracy forever for a lot of people. I mean, not forever, but for a long time, right? Because
Oh
what would
yeah.
I mean? Because GOG is cool. I mean, I'd buy games there. But like, if it's that or Origin or Uplay, wow.
Yeah, not you. Yeah, Uplay is so disappointing. There's so many services.
Yeah.
GOG Galaxy though, that'll be. I'm interested to see what they do with that.
Yeah,
That
Oh,
whole
definitely.
Galaxy
yeah.
thing.
Hey, White Boy, do you know about GOG Galaxy? Did you hear about that?
I did. I keep meaning to download it and try it out. I actually
I
have
don't.
a couple different games on Good Old Games, so it would be nice to have kind of that
Yeah.
like a Steam like kind of central hub to keep track of everything, and
I
so
don't think you can download it yet. They've got a GOG downloader, and that's just kind of like a torrent manager or whatever.
Hmm.
But no, this one's going to be kind of like Steam, and I'm super stoked for it because GOG is a really great service.
no, GOG is great. I would say
Yeah.
they're my if Steam is my favorite, GOG is a close second. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
it's great. I love that service.
Yeah, yeah, but they don't do DRM, so if like Steam ever went away, like it would be Origin or Uplay, right? I mean, who else?
Yeah.
There's GOG and Desura and the Humble Store, but those are no DRM stores. So would it all go to Origin? Like, I don't
Mm,
even. Would
But does
any?
Oregon have anything that isn't EA?
No,
I
they
know
don't.
Uplay is all Ubisoft.
Well, I know,
yeah.
but like, then what else would it be? Like everyone doing their own digital store with their own DRM?
Maybe that would
That sounds
suck.
terrible. that,
Yeah,
that would
that's all.
suck so bad.
Right, it's like, what does Activision do? I mean, I guess that's actually de facto what's happening now, though, right? I mean, because Blizzard's got its own, Uplay exists, Origin exists. I guess if you're really big in gaming, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm really talking about AAA game companies, really, because indies will use GOG or whatever. They're not going to use some bullshit.
It's true. The one thing I'm looking forward to is when the GOG Galaxy. I want them to compete directly with Steam. I want them to
Yeah.
add features. The
Oh, yeah.
one thing that I like, and I don't use Origin for more than like maybe 3 games. And if I could get them on Steam, then I would abandon Origin in a heartbeat. But the one thing that Origin does right is in your game library, you can actually organize. You can move your games around and
Oh, neat.
organize them. And I wish you could do that on Steam because there's so many games that are not listed alphabetically or they're listed in a series and they're completely different, like different titles, so they're out of order.
Yeah.
Like the Penny Arcade, Rainslick, Precipice of Darkness. Those games they're not connected in the library, so you've got 2 up here and then 2 down here, and it's annoying. It's really annoying. So I want to see that with things like that with Galaxy, where they add features or make it customizable or do something that will make Valve say, "Oh yeah, we should probably do that. We should get around to doing that."
Yeah, yeah. I hope Valve does. I mean, I think their Steam big picture mode really shines for games a little bit better than just the typical Steam list mode. Yeah, it's really nice. It's a really slick interface too. So, have you guys played around much with big picture mode?
Yeah, I bet
Mhm.
it's pretty nice.
Yeah, it is. It's slick. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't, but I've been wanting to give it a try. So
So if Half-Life 3 was gonna come out and they had a date and it was next month, would you guys be taking a day off to play it? Because I fucking would for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess because you're talking about like when next month,
Like, okay, just like I'll
like in
get
the
a
middle
date.
of the Destiny beta.
Hold on a sec. Well, yeah, fuck
whoa,
them.
whoa.
Because Valve doesn't give a shit. You know what I mean?
See,
They don't give.
see?
They're like
No.
Honey Badger. They don't give a shit.
If
All right, so let's say Half-Life 3 confirmed for August 28th. Okay, August 28th is the release date. would you be taking...
You heard it here first.
Exactly. This is completely hypothetical. Half-Life 3, August 28th. Travis, would you be taking August 28th off?
No question, of course.
Would you
I
be
don't know
taking...
what's going on August 28th, but yes.
Well, the 29th
I'm
is...
going to be tweeting this episode to your guys' bosses here.
Look, I get time off. It's a thing. I don't have to have a good reason for it.
If they announced Half-Life 3, I would probably not take the day off, but I would be spending time playing Half-Life 1 and 2 because I've never played them, even though I own them, so to get ready for 3. But yeah, so there would be that.
Awesome.
Yeah. I think it would come out on the 26th as opposed to the 28th.
You think it will come out on the 26th? Really?
Because that's a Tuesday. Most games come out on Tuesdays.
Why is that? I've often wondered
what's up
that.
with Tuesday release days?
I don't
That's
know.
weird.
Tuesdays for games. Movies usually come out on Mondays.
Except for Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, that's coming out on Friday. I am so
Well,
stoked.
that's a theater release. I'm talking about DVDs.
Oh, okay. Because I am
Blu-ray.
so stoked for Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, man. I cannot wait. I'm so trying to get my wife to go and see what the what? The sequel to the what?
The sequel to the prequel.
Well, so have you seen the original Planet of the Apes films? Because I've got them all on Blu-ray because I'm a super fan of Planet of the Apes. But have you seen all of them?
I've seen the original
Okay.
first movie.
Okay.
I haven't seen any of the sequels.
Okay, so I'm not sure. I actually have to sit down and chart out the movies to figure out where Rise of the Planet of the Apes comes into play and the Planet of the Apes timeline because, okay, a spoiler alert for a bazillion-year-old movie franchise, but it starts with Planet of the Apes, and then the next Planet of the Apes, what was it? I forget. Anyway, second Planet of the Apes movie, what happens is it alright if I spoil these movies for you?
I think it's fine. They're old enough that if you don't know, I don't think you need to do spoiler warnings.
Exactly, great. So in the second Planet of the Apes movie, the Earth explodes, right? So it's like right after the first Planet of the Apes movie, and after that one, the Earth explodes. And in the third movie, they do some serious retcon shit, where basically they said, and the second Planet of the Apes movie, basically what happens is because they didn't get Charlton Heston for the entire movie, they dropped another rocket on the Earth that came from went back in time, basically, and the same way with another guy who looks just like Charlton Heston, and meets up with Charlton Heston at the beginning of the movie, and then Charlton Heston goes off for no reason. And then so this new non-Charlton Heston guy is there, and he goes through the entire movie, and then him and Charlton Heston at the end do some shit and blow up the whole planet. Anyways, so you should watch it. It's fucking amazing. So what happens at the beginning of the third Planet of the Apes movie is when the second non-Charlton Heston guy comes out of the planet, the monkeys take that ship that crash lands and they fix it right in the second movie before they blow up the planet, and they fix the ship and they launch it into space. However the fuck they do that, I don't know, because in the Planet of the Apes movies, those apes don't have like rocketry, or they're not rocket scientists at all. So anyway, so some crazy reason they launch it into space, and somehow they go back in time to the 50s or 60s, I don't remember. Anyway, so they go back in time to the 50s, and then they live a life of like these three apes live a life, two, but I won't spoil how they get down to two, but two apes, they live a life as celebrities.
I won't spoil that part.
I know, exactly. Live a life as celebrities. So technically, they're back in 58, and then from there on, then they make this huge time leap where the apes there's a bunch of them, and then they revolt or whatever. And then the next movie after that, they're like wildly in the future or something. So technically, Rise of the Planet of the Apes could be in this alternate timeline or another timeline, so I'm not exactly sure where it fits in exactly. It's not necessarily a prequel because it does fit in with the Planet of the Apes like time. Anyway, I've clearly watched too many of these movies, but
yeah, I thought I had seen all those movies, but I obviously haven't, because I think I would remember some apes hanging out in the 50s as celebrities, because what the hell?
Yeah,
That is
so
so bizarre.
It's crazy. They're basically the movie. The majority of that film is apes just hanging out and partying it up with people, and just having a. It's crazy. And then by the end, they're like, "You must abort your ape child," and then they escape, and it's craziness. It's craziness.
Does nobody question the talking apes? Is this just like they must be from a different country or what?
No. So they come back, and at the first they think they're just monkeys from a spaceship, right? So because they're not talking, right? Because you gotta. It's an old movie, so you've gotta be totally. So they don't talk because they think that they're gonna treat them just like, in the first Planet of the Apes movie, where they treated them like garbage or whatever. Anyways, so basically, then they talk, and they're like, "Oh, talking apes," and they think that it's like a joke or whatever, like not serious. So it's kind of like a playback to the first Planet of the Apes movie a little bit. And then they, go before the UN, and then they talk, and everyone like thinks this is crazy. And then they tell them that they're from the future or something. I can't remember where they say they're from. If they're from the future or whatever. Anyways, they try to keep it secret that they treated Charlton Heston poorly and killed off most of their crew. And then they
told them that they killed Charlton Heston.
Well, they don't kill Charlton Heston, but they killed other people in his crew or whatever. And then they lobotomized one. You remember from the first movie.
That's never a good thing to admit to.
No, it's not. Because once they find out that they did that, the people in the UN decide that they're going to sterilize the apes, because while one of the ape woman is under this like truth-telling serum. She says that they're like in the future apes control the planet, and they're totally like they do like experiments on them, and they're on top, and then they the apes are on top, and then they treat people like garbage, and they like screw with their brains and treat them like lab rats. And so the UN hears that, and they get freaked out, and so like the apes can't reproduce because clearly they were sent back in time to start the new ape line, right? To take over mankind, and that's how it started. So the UN says we're going to sterilize them, and then they find out that she's pregnant, and they're going to make her abort the baby, and then so the ape couple escape and try to get away, and then I don't really want to spoil it if they get their baby or anything, but because it's an amazing movie. It's amazing. You guys laugh, but it's incredible. What did you say?
I'm laughing.
Sounds like utter insanity. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love those.
Spoiled.
It sounds like something that would be on Mystery Science Theater 3000. So that
if they could have purchased the rights, if they could have purchased the rights to those movies, those would have been my favorite episodes of Mystery Science Theater 3000. And then in the next Apes movie, you find out that they actually, you think that the baby dies and then the mom's and dies and blah. But what happens is they switch the baby. And then the baby that they have grows up in a circus, and then he leads the revolution. Because I shit you not, in the fourth Apes movie, I shit you not, what happens is in the fourth Ape movie, an asteroid hits Earth, and a virus kills all the pets, kills all the cats and dogs on the Earth. So what happens is humans find out that apes and chimps and stuff make great pets. So they become pets to everyone in the world, basically. And so they also realize that as they become great pets, they train them to become butlers and slaves. And so they're enslaving apes and chimps as butlers and stuff, and treating them. I'm done talking about it. Anyways.
And then Soylent Green is people.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how it ends. That's
exactly. And then they revolt. And then the next Planet of the Apes movie is like in the dystopian future where apes and people live together, and then all shit it hits the F. And I don't want to spoil the fifth movie because it's great. You should just watch it.
And this is what they're rebooting. All of this.
Right? Yes. Totally, it's a different story. Rise of the Planet of the Apes is a totally different storyline.
I hope so. Because that sounds completely ridiculous. I've only seen the first one. I've only ever seen the original.
Yeah,
and I saw the.
Sounds kind of bananas, pun intended.
Yeah. Anyways, if you guys wanted to borrow those, I got them on Blu-ray. They look great.
Sweet.
HD.
I have to do that.
I remember that, yeah.
I think I'd rather watch Aliens Resurrection. Alien Resurrection. Is that what it was called? What was the fourth one?
Alien Resurrection.
Alien
Yeah,
Resurrection.
Resurrection.
Did you guys not like Alien Resurrection? Is that what I'm hearing?
It wasn't my
just no.
favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rough
It
review.
wasn't stellar. It was okay.
Yeah.
Probably the weakest out
It
of the
was,
four.
it was the guy that directed City of the Lost Children, Jean-Pierre Jeunet, I think.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, he did that one, right? Yeah. Yeah, I knew it was a French guy. I forgot who it was though.
Good stuff.
It is. All right. Well, we've sufficiently gone off the rails, so I think we're gonna wrap it up here. Unless you guys had something else you wanted to talk about, or you wanted me to explain the fifth Planet of the Apes film.
No, let's spoil a different series.
Yeah, I think I
go
gotta
down the
go.
Let's spoil. Next time we'll talk about the Matrix trilogy, and
We got to
or
talk about the Animatrix after it too. So.
yeah, that or the Riddick trilogy or quadrilogy now.
Or we can just let John talk more about how Star Wars Episode 1 was the best in the prequels, you know?
It is just a fact that Star Wars 1 is the best of the prequels.
We're out of time.
And on that note...
So this is the thing. Like, everyone says
No.
it's Episode 3, but it's not Episode 3. It's 1.
I'll just apologize to anybody listening that I opened up that can of worms again. I'm sorry.
No, I'll give you that. If you could get rid of Jake Lloyd and Jar Jar Binks, it would be the best. But you can't get rid of them, and they pull the movie down. They make the movie terrible.
Yeah, let's get into this now.
Have you guys watched all 3 of them recently, or like just within like?
No. You don't need to.
Yeah,
you
but
need
you
to do that.
You should.
Yeah, like 4 or 5 months ago.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, so you have okay, interesting. Because when I did, I thought, oh, Phantom Menace, like, yeah, Jar Jar Binks not my favorite, but the movie kept my attention more than any of the 2 or 3 did by a long shot. Because 2, 3, I don't know.
But it's impossible to watch those movies without the expectation that came before those movies came out. There was too much buildup, and to if there was a way to watch those movies independent of the memory of the first 3,
Sure.
then I might be able to consider your point. But based on the original trilogy and the absolute mess of the prequel trilogy, it's like 3 swift kick to the nuts. That's what those movies are.
Well, I hadn't watched them in like a long time, and then I rewatched them, and that's kind of where I was like, okay, yeah, like that's what I looked at. And again, I only compare the original trilogy, not the original trilogy. I only compare the prequel trilogy to themselves. I don't compare them to the original trilogy because it can't be done. Like, it's not a fair comparison in my mind. Like the prequel trilogy are fine, but they're not comparable to the originals. So I just don't.
But you have to. You have to compare them.
You don't have
they
to.
are part of the series.
They are part of the series, but I don't find it to be a useful or fair comparison, I guess. Because when I compare the prequel trilogy to the original trilogy, I am disappointed. And so for me, like, and I don't really want to be, so I separate them out. So in my mind, the original trilogy, like the prequel trilogy, the first 3, are a Star Wars. They're in the Star Wars canon. There's no question, right? They're Lucas approved, right? But I don't consider them in the same way that I consider the original trilogy. So when I think about them as their own standalone thing, kind of. And so that's why I can like think about them as like, okay, well, it's the best of the prequel trilogy or whatever. And that's the only way that I can look at those movies now. Well, it's the best way I can look at those movies now because I don't want to, get the typical Star Wars fan bitterness or whatever. I don't really want to go there. So. Yeah.
All right, and on that note, I need to go, gentlemen.
All
So
right.
it's been fun hanging out with you and talking nerdy. I will talk to you guys later.
All right. Have a great one.
Anytime.
And I think I will as well wrap this up. Unless you guys had anything you wanted to say about the prequel trilogy that was burning inside your souls.
There's no. I mean, it's just all. It's one bad thing after another. So no.
Yeah, we've already been on this road before.
All right, sounds good.
John Williams. John Williams is the only good thing.
His score is great. I'll admit, it's really good. Darth Maul's cool, right?
Yeah.
Darth Maul, double lightsaber.
Till he
Killed him
died.
off. Yeah, exactly. Killed him off pretty fast.
That was so disappointing,
I know.
honestly.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, thanks everyone for watching the Cheerful Ghost Roundtable. The Cheerful Ghost Roundtable is brought to you by cheerfulghost.com, the best website on the internet for talking about the Star Wars prequels. All right, everyone. Have a great evening.
Good night.